Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Build in RCT3. Last time we went ahead and finished the Pumpkin Patch Haunted area, and despite the fact that Halloween is already over and Thanksgiving will soon be upon us, we are still technically in our Halloween area. One more area until we move on to a new land, untamed wilderness of sorts, as you might think. But as you can see right now, we are already well underway within our brand new, or at least brand new. And this one came from Madhouse. Yes, Senor Madhouse. This idea kind of came from you with your swamp idea. I know it felt kind of vague, but then I looked through like the scenery thinking like what am I gonna do with all this stuff? I mean, like, let's see, we got candy and we got a haunted house, or at least we can theme it sort of a haunted house in that vampire castle. And I was like, wait a minute, the Grimm Tales has candy in it with their little Hansel and Gretel thing. And I went and dug a little deeper into some of their stories, and apparently it just so happens that they do have, in fact, well, of course, we all know that some Grimm fairy tales here have some rather gruesome tales that coincide with, blood and violence and people dying. And it just so happens that, of course, with Disney, some of their stuff, such as Snow White, Cinderella, they just made them all happy and child-friendly. They took out all the blood and gore. Yes, Snow White, Cinderella has blood and gore in it. Rated M for mature kind of stuff going on down here with these Grimm brothers here. I mean, even back then, during their, when they released it, even parents back then, they were like right on that, as if parents right now are on GTA 5. Yes, literally. Grimm Tales was literally the GTA 5 of its time. Way too gruesome for us children. But as if right now, I guess, tell it to your 5-year-old kids, a nice little story to tell them about gruesome deaths and whatever, if they just so happen to ever, disobey you as your parent, just, threaten them. Tell them that, I'll just throw you in the forest and let you feed you to the wolves, or, let you go out in the cold and go fetch strawberries and, die of starvation. All that other good child-friendly stuff going on there. So, of course, I had to go through more research here. And we all know the story about Hansel and Gretel. They all went into the forest, and the mother was a beach. Yeah, remember, I'm just trying not to swear here, but yes, I technically didn't swear, so ha. But, yeah, the mother just went over and sent them over into the forest to get lost and starve to death. And, of course, they find as you can see right now, hopefully yet again, the audio syncs with what I'm building. You already saw that I just finished building the witch's the witch's house, and that's where they were about to get cooked, and they escaped, and they went back home, and they found out, oh, the mother's dead. Oh, nobody cares, and they live happily ever after with their father. But of course, there are like some stories, like the what's it called? Technically, that clock right there was supposed to be considered Rapunzel, but somewhat amazingly, it seems as if in the Rapunzel story, Gothel, right? I think that's what they call them in the Disney movie. She actually, in the actual real fairy tale, I mean, like, sure, it's a little underhanded, but the king had a deal with this woman, and it said, like, if they were to save the man, literally the king, went to this woman's garden, or the witch's garden, and stole her flowers. So technically he was stealing, and he was in the wrong. Instead of like finding some random rare flower out in the forest, didn't know who it belonged to. No, it was clear that they knew that these flowers belonged to this specific person, and if they dealt with anything with these flowers, that they were going to be killed. So despite knowing that, of course the witch just says, okay, you can have these flowers, but I'm gonna have your daughter in turn. So I know it's a little undermined and underhanded, whatever you want to call it. But hey, it was 1814. It was stories, so it doesn't matter very much. And I'm rambling again. Yeah, apparently the prince, or not really the prince, but What's that guy's name? I don't know. The guy from Rapunzel. Yeah, picture him and he's blind. Picture him falling towards the falling from the tower into a bushel of thorns and having the thorns pierce his eyes. Yes, I think Disney kind of dropped the ball on that one when they made Rapunzel. Oh, and let's not forget Cinderella, where which I finally found out that the reason why they called her Cinderella is because she was like, of course they did picture her as a slave, but you know, that woman, she is a lot far better off. The Disney Cinderella was far better off than the real Cinderella because at least she got a bed. She at least had a bed. This Cinderella, no. She slept right by the chimney where she had to pick up ashes and sleep with the ashes. And of course those, which ironically, not really ironically, but weirdly enough that the twin sisters, the stepsisters, were described as beautiful women rather than ugly twin sisters. Yeah, well, you would think, you know, they would keep them ugly, but no. But yeah, they were beautiful twin sisters, and they called her Cinderella because, you know, she slept right next to the cinders of the chimney that she slept next to. So yeah, the more you learn. I finally figured that out. Apparently, that's something new I learned. But yeah, in this one, in the Cinderella one, in the original Cinderella, it's not some kind of freaking fairy godmother that comes in and dresses her up. No, if you know, the way you read it, it looks like this Cinderella is just this witch and she's doing witchcraft. This woman's doing something a little dark-handed with Satan, if you know what I mean. It looks like they're the way that she like conjures up this stuff. She like in the Disney movie, she's got, you know, the little birds and stuff going around her, and she sings, and the animals cooperate with her. No, this one sounds like she's doing some Satanism chanting to get like birds going. No, literally, her mother was dead, and almost every night she would go to her grave and offer some like some kind of offering to the grave. Like I remember reading like the father was still alive. It's the mother that's dead, unlike in the Disney Cinderella one. Yeah, it's like, what the heck? The father doesn't even give a shit that that his daughter is being treated this way, really? But anyway, yeah, I digress. Where was I? Yeah, the father. The father asks his stepdaughters what they wanted, and they wanted pearls and beautiful diamonds and dresses. And what does Cinderella ask for? The first twig that her father runs into that knocks his hat off. I know that was weird, but yeah, soon enough when he goes off to his travels, there's like this low-hanging green branch that flicks him in the head and knocks his hat off, and he remembers, oh wait, Cinderella asked me to get this. So he gets the branch, gives the pearls and the beautiful things to the stepsisters, and gives this twig to her, Cinderella. And what does Cinderella do? Takes the branch, goes to her mother's graveyard, does some incantations in the graveyard, and sticks the twig just above the graveyard. And then now you got these two demonic doves or pigeons that come, and they do her bidding. They go, what does she ask? It's like, I gotta get this. It's gruesome. Not really gruesome. It will be gruesome. But she says like these incantations every so often just to get what she wants here. And it's not one night, it's 3 nights. She goes off and says, let's see, shiver and quiver, little tree, silver and gold thrown down over me. Yes, that's her incantations. Of course, that's where the birds swoop down and bring her a gold and silver dress. And then the slippers, they're not glass, they're gold in this version. And, the ending. Like I said, it was gruesome. The ending, when the sisters try it on, of course they notice that it doesn't fit, but the stepmother insists that they cut their toe off. Yes, rather gruesome. It even gets even worse than that. The prince, believing that this is the bride, or the person that was at the ball, you know, left the slipper, blah, blah, blah. Again, these freaking devil birds come back, and they all say, they talk. These birds talk, just plain out and ordinary. As soon as the prince and one of the stepsisters come out, they chant the turn and peep, there's blood within the shoe. The shoe, it is too small for her, the true bride waits for you. Yes, these demonic birds chant some kind of more satanistic rituals, telling the prince that nope, you got the wrong girl. Go back and try again. And of course, he goes and tries again, and tries the second step, or I lost my space. The stepsister, and of course, her toe fits. It's just her heel. Yeah, the Achilles heel right here. That painful spot there that if you cut it, you are not going to be walking for the rest of your life. Yeah, the stepsister or the stepmother, she asks her to cut that right off so she can fit in the shoe. And of course, the demonic birds come back again and tell him the same exact thing, that there's blood in the shoe and that you got the wrong bride yet again. So of course, with the other stepsister wobbling with her Achilles heel cut right off, sorry, you're not the wrong one. They go back, and of course they get Cinderella. Now of course she goes in, gets married with the prince, and now the stepsisters, being evil as they are, try to be all happy and friendly next to Cinderella. And like I said, these birds, they're demonic. So once these birds see these two sisters go up while they're getting married, these birds straight out pluck the eyes out of these sisters. And so for being pretty much bitches to Cinderella, they go on blind forevermore, living blind for the rest of their lives. Yeah, I told you, this Cinderella is a witch, literally. Conjuring up pigeons from the devil himself and doing incantations in front of her mother's grave. Really, really shines a new light towards this Cinderella character here. But yeah, other than that, that just really kind of shocked me. I knew it was going to be dark, but I didn't know it was going to be that dark. But you know what, let's go back to the ride. I went too far in that whole Cinderella thing. With the ride, you notice that in the entrance, that's going to be the Fisherman and His Wife, that tale about the really greedy wife that kept on asking more and more from the flounder that the fish caught, and then eventually the flounder's like, you know what, you asked too much, you're going to live right back in that hovel that you started with. So the entrance you can see me building now will be the castle that she asked for, and over there at the end where you see the boat, that's their little hovel. So the story kind of like goes in reverse, sort of, in a way. Just trying to tie it into the whole ride. And if you notice, I was building a castle like off in the distance. There was another Grimm tale about a man, and not too bright. I think they're like trying to consider him a little slow, and that what he wanted to do is that all around his village, he basically wanted to know what fear was. He'd never felt fear. He doesn't know what fear is, and his father thinks he's so stupid that he doesn't know what fear is. He's like, you know what? I'm disowning you. Technically, pretty much saying, I'm disowning you. Go out in the world and find out what fear is for yourself. And he meets up with these people, and no matter how much they try to let him to understand what fear was. One of these, one of the people, being a man from the church, or from a church, makes a deal with the father, saying, you know what, take him in my care. I'll show him what fear is. So he gave the son a job, the one that's trying to find out about fear. He was supposed to go up in the bell tower in the middle of the night and ring the church bell. Now, while he's waiting up there, waiting for midnight to roll around, ready to ring the bell, the sexton? Yes, I know, it sounds like a nutty word, but it's a real word, trust me. The sexton, which is pretty much a church leader, I guess the priest or whatever, or the man of a church, whatever. The guy that hired the guy basically put like a white sheet over him to make him look like a ghost, and tries to scare the bejesus out of this guy. So like he's climbing the bell tower to where the guy was, and he stands still like right at the edge of the stairs, and the guy's just like, hey, what are you doing here? Thinking it's like it's just some other dude or like some other guy that invaded the church. And he's like, you know what? I gotta do my job here. If you're not gonna leave, I'm gonna push you down the stairs. And of course, the guy under the sheet's like, you know what? I'm gonna keep playing this act. Hopefully he'll get scared and realize I'm a ghost. And of course he's being played off as stupid. And the guy gives him one more warning. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna push him down the stairs if you don't leave. And of course, soon enough, he pushes him down the stairs and breaks his leg. And another instance is when the father kicks him out. He meets another man where he says that there's a a tree where people got hung, and tells him to spend the night under that tree. And of course, he spends the night under the tree and makes a little fire. And he looks up, and certainly enough, there's people still hanging there with their corpses rotting in the wind. And the guy thinks they're like real people, like still live people. And of course, he tries to bring up a conversation with them, brings them down from their lynches, and huddles them around the campfire, making it like some kind of fake tea party or something. And of course, he talks to them, and they don't respond back. So of course they think they're being rude, blah 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 blah. And he's like, you know what? If you're not gonna talk to me, I'm gonna just put you back up there. And of course, sure enough, I guess because he put it too close to the fire, the corpses got themselves put on fire. And of course, he keeps talking to him. He's like, you know what? I can't help you. You're on fire, dude. And if you can't help yourself, I'm not gonna help you. So, and of course, he's like, you know what? That's it. I'm gonna put you back up there. You're not being friendly. You're gonna go back and be hung. And the guy who tells him to go stay in that stay under the tree comes back the next morning and says, do you know what fear is like? And he's like, no, I just chilled with these guys up here and kind of rude. Meh. So the guy's all puzzled, like, okay, this guy's a little freaky, and just goes on his way. I know, like, most of these Grimm stories have like this. It's not really an exposition, but they seem more like fillers. Like, there's always, like, they always try 3 times until they finally get to the actual story, which, like, in this one, the actual story ends up with him meeting a king and saying, I think I remember it being, like, it's always this one, where they always have, like, oh, they have a daughter, and if you do this, so-and-so, you can marry my daughter. And it just so happens that he has to stay in a haunted castle for 3 nights, which you saw me build the haunted castle up on the hill. That's where it's supposed to be interpreted. And of course, it's kind of hilarious because 3 things happen. Of course, he triumphs over it, and of course, he marries the princess. But the way they ended it, it feels like it just felt more like a comedy rather than like something that's a little dark for children. I guess it's one of the few Grimm tales. But anyway, the way they ended it was all these things that these people were trying to make this guy scared of. The princess, which is now his wife, says, you know what, I'm getting sick and tired of this guy trying to find out what fear is. I'm going to show him what fear is. So she decides to pull a little prank on her husband, goes to the river, gets a bucket of water and fish, and at the middle of the night, pours all the water and all the fish onto the bed, scares the living crap out of this guy. And he's like, oh, that's what fear's like. Oh. Yeah, it takes a cold bucket of water and a couple of fish to make this guy realize what fear was. Like, the first time I read through this, like, really? Is this really how they're going to end it? I guess, whatever. It was the 1800s, I guess, is what they figure is entertainment. Sure, whatever. But yeah, anyway, and most of these Grimm tales are either hit and miss, and some of them, I like the stories where they have, like, they give the characters something and they use it later in the story. Like the one I was talking about, the castle. He was given 3 things, and each of those 3 things he used on each day. I don't know. It's like one of those things I just kind of enjoy. But yeah, if you find the time to read the Grimm tales, they're like all online, and I think most of them are, if not all, are they're not copyrighted. So I'm pretty sure I won't get in trouble for this. And yeah, just go and read them. They're pretty cool, pretty interesting. Especially the I kind of like the 3 snake ones. Oh, and the one about the whole old reference that I had about the woman going off into the snow. That one's called the 3 men in the forest. That one's perfect. Read that one. I kind of like stories that the bad guys or whatever get their comeuppance, and there's plenty of that in the Grimm tales. But yeah, anyway, this has been quite a spin-off of an episode. I was off tangent most of the time, mostly speaking about Grimm stories. I was actually going to think about reading an entire story word for word, but I thought that might have been pretty boring, and I guess I just wanted to, make my own little spin on stories and make it a little short, so hopefully that'll be enough for you guys. But that's about it. Until then, we'll go to the next episode. We're probably going to go to another land. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. See y'all later.